Hey there, I get tons of questions about how I can be so productive and all the tools and tips that I have for crossing off those to-dos from your list. So in this video, I'm excited to share an inside peek of how I use my Get to Workbook planner. Take a look and let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Enjoy! So I get a lot of questions about how I use my Get to Workbook planner. So I thought I would take a few minutes just to give you a quick walkthrough of what the inside of my planner looks like. This is the Get to Workbook planner by Elise Joy Kripe. I can link to it so that you can take a look if you're interested for yourself. And I always get the academic month, which is the July through June. So I organize it that way. And there's a lot of very cool features to this workbook. There are kind of 2018-19 at a glance planning pages. There are also just blank pages, and you can see I just add in certain notes. I can tell you for this particular page, I was writing post-it notes of the tasks I had from the previous planner that I wanted to make sure got done. And so I just gave each one of them a little post-it and was able to cross that off as I did that work. You'll also see that I paste in or tape in different to-do lists that I have from various things that I create. I'm a huge list person, and I don't always create lists in the planner. And so if I do create lists outside the planner, I will typically put those in and cross things off. And here's another example of one that I created where you can see this was a quarterly plan that I had created, and I wanted to make sure I had a record of it, so I kept it in the planner. So this spread is a little bit more of how I typically use the planner, where I have to-do items that I list for each day, and then I check them off as I go. The yellow indicates items that I didn't necessarily complete that day, and it gives me kind of a visual cue that I need to either move them to the following week or I need to go back and complete them. You'll also see I add in little post-its and things throughout, and I often will pick 4 or 5 things for each week that I consider to be the most important. And also you'll see certain things get crossed off as I'm going along, if like meetings get canceled or things like that. But I typically use the same color coding system. You can tell when it's been a good week. If there is less yellow, it means I've been able to kind of stay on track with most of the things that I wanted to do. I keep, little financial things in here as well. Notes about research that I have. I track some of my coaching clients in here, and so this is a way for me to kind of make sure it's a very old school way of tracking who has what meetings completed. Here's another little to-do list. And I also sometimes use the full calendar spreads as content calendars to help me plan what I want to do for my Wednesday podcast, for my Thursday podcast, for my Friday blog post that goes out, and for my Saturday podcast episode. So this is a way for me to kind of keep that note. And then you'll see here I have other little notes that I've made to myself about different tasks. So I use the system of this workbook pretty consistently in terms of the color coding in particular and deciding what are the different tasks that I want to do each day. Now, when my schedule gets particularly busy, sometimes I will do a spread that looks like this, and this is basically a breakdown by hour of every day of the week, and then I start to block off when I'm going to do things. You can see Saturday and Sunday of this spread were the most busy, and I will do this usually for a few different weeks at a time, and it's a way for me to ensure that I'm actually going to be able to get done what I want to get done in a kind of a crunch period. So sometimes I use that. There are also these pages that allow you to break down a project, and I sometimes use these as I go along. Sometimes I'll go back and use them if I have blank pages and I have a project that I'm trying to figure out. You can see here's another content calendaring page, some other little notes. So in some ways it becomes kind of like a productivity scrapbook where I'm putting in different notes and things to myself. But I am kind of excited and proud of the fact that most of the things in this planner do eventually get checked off. You can see I'm doing some mind mapping here for a project, some other notes here. And it just all kind of starts to run together in terms of all the to-do lists. So I hope this gives you a little bit of an insight into how I'm using my Get to Workbook to track all the tasks that I have on my plate and eventually check them off.